Hi friends, welcome again to Suzanne Elizabeth's Kitchen. This evening I'm going to be making a cream of mushroom soup, and as fancy as it sounds, it is so easy. And so let's just get started. In my pot, and I'm using, as you can see, a shallow pot, and there's going to be a reason for that, I think. We'll see. I'm going to saute. I wanted something with a really wide bottom so that I could have as much surface to saute these vegetables in. So I have about a pound of mushrooms, cremini, the little baby Bella cremini mushrooms. I have one red onion. I just like red onions. You could use any color onion you want. And I have several little cloves of garlic, probably at least 5 or 6. And the reason for that is because I thought, when I think of mushroom soup, and especially here in Colorado, it's a cold winter's night, I think of something, a real savory, rich soup. And that's what this is going to do. So we're going to be building flavors. So to start off with, I've got a big, probably, at least 2 tablespoons, maybe 3 tablespoons of butter in there. And we're going to use that to saute, and I'm just looking for a spoon, and all my wooden spoons are over here. So excuse me just for a minute. I'm just crossing the room, not crossing the Rubicon, just the room. So we have a little wooden spatula, and I can tell already I'm going to need some more. Let's see. I think I'll stick with butter tonight. I was thinking about using some olive oil, and which would be, you know, if you wanted to use olive oil, that's perfectly fine. But for some reason, tonight I just feel like using butter, again, because we're sticking with, as you can see, I'm just being very generous. Let's see how much I used. I used another 2 tablespoons of butter. So while this butter melts and we start to get these vegetables sauteing, so again, what's going on here? We've got mushrooms, garlic, and onion, and we just want to saute them just until they, as they say, get wilted. The onions will be translucent. The mushrooms will become golden and soft. We don't want to cook these, you know, we don't want to hard cook. We're not trying to brown anything. We want to keep it nice and gentle and soft. Because, oops, let's see, that's my refrigerator. When I don't close the refrigerator door properly, it beeps, and that thing will just beep until the cows come home. So while this is sauteing, let me introduce some of the other flavors we're going to add. Once this has sauteed, we will add some broth. Now, this is, again, completely up to you. I'm going to add beef broth. Again, because I am kind of building on this idea of a very rich, savory soup. If you wanted to keep it lighter, you could use vegetable broth or chicken broth. Vegetable broth would really be a very light flavor. I'm going whole hog, or in this case whole beef, and going with beef broth. I'm probably going to throw in some red wine because I'm drinking it, so I might as well eat it. And again, that's, and I know you've heard this before, please do not buy the cheap red wine in the cooking aisle of your store. You want to cook with the same wine that you drink. Now, I'm not saying if you're drinking a $1,000 bottle of Bordeaux that you should be cooking with that. That's a little crazy. But, you know, if you're drinking a $10 bottle of Bordeaux, you know, give that a splash. In other words, you want this to have a good quality, well, let's put it this way. In all of your cooking, in all aspects of your cooking, you want to use the best quality ingredients you can, because that brings out the best flavors. And why bother cooking if you're not going to try to do the best you can? So we've got our stock, so that's going to be our liquid, and I'm going to turn this down a little bit. And you know, that's something you got to do. Keep an eye on your saute pan. Give it a little stir from time to time. Make sure you have enough butter in there to really give all of the vegetables enough fat to cook in. We're probably also going to add a little bit of half and half, speaking of fat, and that's where we're going to get our creaminess from. And then in one of the recipes I was looking at, and I thought this was very interesting, so I'm probably going to try it, they mentioned adding a little bit of cream cheese in there along with the half and half to add another layer of creaminess. And also cream cheese, as you probably know, has a little bit of a tartness to it, which should be very nice with the mushrooms. And then finally, I'm going to, well, not finally, I've got another secret ingredient, and I bet you can guess what it's going to be. I'm going to add a good healthy dose of grated Parmesan, aged Parmesan Reggiano. And, of course, it would not be a dish with Suzanne Elizabeth if we didn't break out the nutmeg. And nutmeg will be absolutely stunning with the mushrooms. And I have some regular pepper there, but I'm going to reach over your shoulder and bring out my graters of salt and pepper because, again, in this case, we want the fresh flavors of the salt and, well, especially the pepper. The salt, yes, that's okay. But especially, I really think there is nothing like freshly ground pepper. The aroma, the taste of it is, you just don't get the same effect when you use pepper, you know, that's already ground. Okay, so in the time that we have been talking, my onions and my mushrooms and my garlic are becoming really beautifully translucent. And so I'm going to go ahead now and pour a little bit of wine in here to deglaze the pan. So just a little glug glug. Maybe that was a quarter or a third of a cup, not much. So when I ask you to share your drinking wine with your soup, don't get up in arms and think that you're going to lose your second glass of wine, because I certainly am not. We're just asking you to share a little bit, just a little bit of that wine. And just let it cook down a little bit. Give the bottom of your pan a good scraping. And now let us add the stock. And at this point, we're going to add the stock. And I'm not sure that I'm going to actually add, I'm not going to add any salt now because the beef broth certainly has salt in it. I might add a little bit of pepper, and I think I'll add some nutmeg. Remember, as I always say, that we want to add our flavors in layers so that you can always test and taste as you go along. So in other words, you don't want to add a whole pile of salt right at the beginning, because the flavors develop as the dish cooks and as the ingredients combine. So that's what you're going to be doing. That's your job, is to be the first line of taste testing, so that your guests don't end up with an unpleasant surprise. Here's my beloved nutmeg, and we're just going to, as you know, we only use freshly grated nutmeg. And there really is no substitute. And it's just such a wonderful, wonderful smell and taste. So for now, that's it. We're just going to let this cook for a while. Let's see, did I use the whole thing? Whoops. We just knocked the pepper onto the floor. So I didn't use the entire quart. I probably used 3 cups, okay? So let's say right now we have 3 cups. And that's fine, because what we'll do is just keep an eye on this. Let's see if you can see that a little bit better. As we cook, we're going to, if we need to add more liquid, we've got it. And let's see if you can see this right now. I mean, this is just a gorgeous brown color. And I'm going to taste this. Let me get a spoon and give it a first taste and see. It should be gorgeous with that red wine that I put in there. So let's see here. Oh, delicious. Okay. You can taste the nutmeg, you can taste the pepper. Right now it tastes probably the most prominent, and of course this makes perfect sense, the most prominent flavor is the beef stock. But that should change as the mushrooms and the onions and the garlic get in there and get a chance to really mix it up. So we're going to let this cook for about 30 to 40 minutes. And then we're going to start adding in the creamy flavors. And actually what we're going to do before we do the creamy flavors, let me get my, excuse me another moment. I'm always talking and moving, but I'm still here, so don't despair. My immersion blender, which I absolutely love when it comes to making soups. After this is cooked for 30 to 40 minutes, I'm going to use my immersion blender to create a puree. If you don't have an immersion blender, you can use a regular blender or a food processor. The immersion blender simply saves you the step and the mess of, you know, taking this hot liquid, this pot, and then pouring it into your plastic container of your food processor or your blender and making a mess, because I always overfill mine and, you know, I have liquid flying all over the kitchen. This keeps the mess contained here in this one general area. And the best thing is that an immersion blender does not cost a lot of money. This, honestly, I've had this immersion blender for 20 years, and I probably bought it for $20. Very inexpensive. It's a Braun. I don't even know. Is that company still in business? I don't know. They were a very popular company in the mid-'80s to early 90s when I bought this little thing. So, all right. So there you go. We're going... So let me just review these steps again really quickly. We're going to let this cook for about 30 to 40 minutes. Then we're going to use the immersion blender to puree all of the mushrooms, the garlic, the onion. We're going to taste it again at that point and see if we need to adjust our flavor. Now this is starting to boil, and I want to turn that down a little bit because we don't want it, you know, cooking too hard. We want a nice gentle boil, if anything. We'll adjust our flavors, see if we need, do we need more garlic, do we need more wine? I don't think we're going to need any more broth. And then at that point, we're going to start layering in the creamy ingredients. So we'll put in a dollop of cream cheese. We'll add in some half and half. We'll give it a good grating of the Reggiano Parmesan. And then stir it, and then it's going to be ready to serve. And tonight, we're going to keep it simple. I'm just going to serve this with some nice crusty French bread that I have, and some brie, and of course, at least another glass of the red wine, the El Vino. So, that's all for right now, and I'll be back in a little bit to show you the last half of the soup preparation. Cheers and welcome again to my kitchen. See you in a few. Bye.